is CTV News.
Like a snowstorm, 40 people waiting outside. We had enough stuff for 2 days. They bought it all in one day.
In a city where pizza is serious business, a new restaurant is already a hot ticket with long lines, busy phones, and sellouts to prove it. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. More on the new hot spot for pizza in a slice. But first, hundreds of Ontario auto jobs are on the line tonight as General Motors cuts its third shift at their Oshawa plant, a community experiencing heartbreak Windsor is all too familiar with. Here's CTV's Beth McDonnell with more.
Workers walk into work at Oshawa's General Motors plant, some knowing after tomorrow they won't have a job.
I'm feeling very bad, losing a job. It's not easy to get a job, especially this GM. They pay very well.
He is one of up to 1,200 plant workers who have been laid off. About 500 of them are GM employees who work on the Chevy Silverado. Unifor, the union representing members, says the others are from various companies who make up the supply chain and work inside the facility. Those with the lowest seniority are being hit the hardest.
I feel really bad. My son's losing his job. He was hired in 2022, so he's also losing his job, and I know a lot of people that are losing their job also.
Are people blaming tariffs and Trump?
Guaranteed. 100%.
Explain. What are people saying about that?
Well, the tariffs are hurting us 100% all throughout Canada, but with the tariffs on the auto industry is totally wrong. It affects too many people.
The plant is going from 3 shifts of production to 2 shifts. Unifor says the truck was launched in 2021, the third shift added to pick up extra demand. It says in the past, third shifts had lasted up to a decade, but not this time.
Because of things that are out of our control under the CUSMA trade negotiations that are happening right now, we're losing our third shift, and they're sending 50,000 of our units down to Fort Wayne, Indiana. In
a statement to CTV News, General Motors says the reduction is happening while preparations continue for the next generation of full-size pickups. GM has worked closely with Unifor to support impacted employees through this transition with comprehensive separation packages, retirement support, and other benefits. We thank and recognize the employees impacted for their contributions. Oshawa's mayor says he's confident a solution will be found.
It's just devastating that it hasn't come as of today. We've got to find another product to bring inside the plant.
Many laid off don't know what they're going to do.
Feeling bad because you got bills to pay, you got your family to take care of.
The final third shift runs until 6:30 Friday morning. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Of course, this isn't good news for the auto industry, which is already struggling under that U.S. tariff war. Today, the premier called the cuts disappointing, but says there is a plan. Here's CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris.
In a city where building vehicles is a tradition going back 120 years.
It's not a good day. We've had a string of them, and we've become, I think, sometimes desensitized to them.
So it's very disappointing.
Ahead of a meeting with other premiers and the Prime Minister, Doug Ford insists there is a plan.
We're going to make sure that they have opportunities in the defense sector, life science sector.
A fulsome federal auto industry strategy is expected next month.
We have to get rid of the EV mandate to make ourselves more competitive.
And seeking out new partners, new investments.
Chasing as hard as we can for other companies that could take advantage of the skill set that the Canadian auto worker community has.
This week, Ottawa signed a memorandum of understanding with South Korea. 2 sources tell CTV News it includes talks to bring manufacturing here for brands like Hyundai and Kia.
Those 2 automakers produce about 250 or sell about 250,000 cars in Canada, and they don't build any here at all.
A distant glimmer of hope for people caught in the middle of a tariff war.
People that lost a job at GM or Stellantis in Brampton, there should be a priority hiring them first.
But a volatile president may have Korean automakers looking over their shoulders.
$3-4 billion investment in the Canadian market right now isn't exactly going to help the image in the United States, and it might put a target on your back south of the border.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
And more tonight on that Chatham apartment building where dozens of tenants are facing eviction as the municipality weighs what it can do. Councillor Marjorie Crew says she'll bring a motion to Chatham-Kent Council looking at a bylaw to prevent rent evictions altogether. That already exists in places like Toronto and Hamilton, where landlords are made to buy a renovation license before issuing notice to tenants. Crew says she wants to make sure building owners are actually planning to renovate the property, not just lock people into higher leases.
You legitimately need that unit vacant to do those renovations and to get permits to do that, and that, you know, that we guarantee that the folks that are being displaced are brought back within a reasonable amount of time, maybe some compensation to help them as they navigate that.
All right, well, few things stir as much debate in Windsor as where to get a good pizza, and a new shop is entering the conversation after a crazy first week. That's sent shockwaves among pizza fanatics. CTV's Robert Lothian is back from Professor Zaz. Robert, what's business been like for them?
Yeah, well, Travis, imagine this. There's long lineups, thousands of phone calls, and the need to work around the clock. Only a week into business, Professor Zaz has endured all of this and more. So we traveled to the Wyandotte Street shop to learn exactly what's been their recipe for success. In a city where the pie is already divided, Windsor's newest pizza joint is having no trouble cutting a slice of its own.
Like, the response has been insane. The craziest thing I've ever been a part of.
Since opening last week, Dean Litzter's Professor Zaz has had trouble keeping its doors open for all the right reasons.
The weather was quite poor, cold, snowy conditions, like a snowstorm. There's 40 people waiting outside. We had enough stuff for 2 days. They bought it all in one day.
Repeat sellouts forced the longtime pizza chef to toss in new measures. Bakers overnight to prep the dough and moving to walk-in orders only.
So we had 3,500 missed calls on Saturday, and that's insane.
Some customers making multiple trips just to get a slice.
I came because I found out this place is new, and they ran out of slices already on the first day. So I came back today in the morning and they said they have slices.
So in Windsor, where pizza is king and shops are in abundance, what's the draw to Professor Zaz?
We saw it on Facebook. It looked amazing. I think first I heard it from my mother, who heard it from my brother. And when I went to tell my girlfriend about it, she's like, oh, I already know all about this.
I keep seeing it on Instagram a lot of the time, and half the time it was on Facebook.
My mom showed me it on Facebook, and it had some really good reviews.
The power of social media is helping draw in more customers, plus a take on a pizza style that's formed quite the reputation across the river.
I saw someone who had the Detroit style, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's going to be good.
So it's cool to see how just across the river you're trying the Detroit style, because not too much over here.
A thick rectangular pie, Detroit-style pizza has made a name for itself across the world. It's a signature Professor Zaz has put a spin on.
We're selling really, really unique pizzas that you can't get anywhere else, and we're really putting a lot of passion into what we do.
After a wild start, Litzter says they're finding their groove, focusing on pizzas with only locally sourced ingredients and trying to become a staple in Windsor's pizza landscape.
It's like you want to laugh, but you want to cry at the same time, because, like, it's crazy.
It's safe to say word continues to spread. Several people I spoke with tonight are from across Essex County and drove in just to get a slice. The real question now, Travis, though, is whether this level of interest is truly here to stay.
Thank you, Robert. CTV's Robert Lothian serving up a delicious story tonight. And hey, we talk about Detroit-style pizza. What about a Detroit-style World Economic Forum?
You should also see the World Economic Forum start doing something new, showing up and listening in places where the modern world is actually being built. Davos, yes, but also places like Detroit and Dublin, or cities like Jakarta or Buenos Aires.
The co-chair of the World Economic Forum throwing out the idea of bringing the multi-day event to a city like the one across the river. It's been held in Davos, Switzerland every year but one. Larry Fink's speech focused on how the WEF and its member companies and nations need to do more to reach different people from different backgrounds. Detroit Chamber of Commerce CEO Sandy Barua says it's flattering but unlikely.
I'm not sure he was actually referring to actually moving the conference. I think he was talking about that the World Economic Forum needs to do a better job of kind of, outside their annual conference, making it to other cities.
It's not surprising to people to see that, this area has gotten a lot of attention, especially with the rebirth and the renaissance of the city of Detroit. And so anything that's positive, that brings more people here, that fills hotel rooms, that puts a spotlight on the good work that's happening in Detroit and in Windsor is good news for us.
Windsor Mayor Drew Dilkins weighing in on the idea there. Meantime, leadership in Amherstburg announcing the opening of that long-awaited new fire hall has been delayed again. It had tentatively been scheduled for March, but Chief Michael Mio says construction delays, in part blamed on this wicked winter weather, have meant works had to stop. The opening date is being pushed back to the end of May. The cost of the project is $11.3 million. And by the way, the town's currently recruiting volunteer firefighters, with applications being accepted for the next week or so. Windsor police have charged 3 kids in connection with a string of break-and-enters at a South Windsor community center. Police say it's been happening since last spring, with damage caused to pool equipment, picnic tables, and signage. The 3 suspects, all under 14, turned themselves in last week. They can't be named under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. And separately, charges laid following a vandalism spree in East Windsor. Police say there were 24 instances of vandalism to homes, vehicles, and commercial buildings between Boxing Day and this past Monday, all featuring some sort of projectile shattering a window. In several cases, a white marble or silver pellet was found, and now a suspect has been arrested. A 32-year-old man charged after the front window of a business was smashed on Tecumseh Road East near Paulette. The Windsor-Essex County Humane Society is marking 100 years of animal care in Windsor-Essex.
It's nice knowing as a community member that there is a safe place where pets are taken care of and where they can find a forever home. And in our community, it's the Windsor-Essex County Humane Society.
Founded in 1926, the organization started small, and it wasn't until the 50s that the first shelter opened. They moved into their current home in 1971 and have since expanded to include a public clinic and a dog park. Executive Director Lynette Bain says one of the biggest challenges today is an increase in medical-related surrenders as some owners struggle with the rising cost of care.
100 years ago, it wasn't as the norm to have a dog or a cat in your home. And now that's really what we are striving to see, is dogs and cats and other small animals find their forever homes with loving families. So I think our team is so proud of the work that's been done, and then what opportunities we have for the future to keep evolving that work and be there for those animals that don't have a voice.
Despite some hiccups and confusion, the Essex-Windsor Solid Waste Authority says green bins are doing pretty well. In the 13 weeks since the program started, they say enough food waste has been collected to fill 60 hockey rinks, with more than 200 tons of organic waste being picked up on average each week. Participation, they say, needs to be a bit higher, though. Currently across Windsor, Essex, Lakeshore, LaSalle, and Tecumseh, roughly 30% of households are participating. They want to get that over 40. Phase 2 of the Green Bin Recycling Program will include Amherstburg, Kingsville, and Leamington. Those communities will receive their green bins in the fall. There are some new bars coming to downtown Windsor, bringing optimism to stakeholders in the core. CTV's Bob Belichico reports.
I guess it's more than a hint. It's a sign, that things are moving in the right direction.
Arias is leaving Caesars Windsor and relocating on Olette Avenue. Caesars officials say they wish the Arias team the best of luck, but have no current plans for the space.
To bring that brand to Olette Avenue, you're taking a massive footprint that has been empty for years and filling that space, right? That's a huge win for the downtown core.
Another club is taking over the old Turbo, officially reopening on Valentine's Day. Prototype will be a nightlife club with top-shelf technology on the weekend and a multi-use event space during the week.
You can see it with some of the other clubs that are existing right now. We have lineups around the block. The people are there. The energy is there. It is really starting to make a comeback. And I think when we get into spring and this summer, it's going to be huge again.
Prototype owner Brad Goldring and other business owners have heard the underlying concern for downtown safety.
If you're going to make the business decision to leave what is arguably the safest venue in the city, being inside the casino, to come downtown, that's a huge vote of confidence.
I truly believe that the idea of downtown being unsafe is certainly overblown, and I think all it takes is people to come down and see.
People I spoke with here in the downtown core agree that it's not a bad idea to have a couple of more night spots to hang out at, but they would like to see more diversification down here as well. More cafes, more restaurants, more patios, parking, a bakery, maybe even a neighborhood grocery store. Katie Stokes, co-owner of Whiskey Jack Boutique on University Avenue, says customers from all over the region would like to see more retail in downtown Windsor.
We've kind of acted as almost like a pillar to try to show other businesses that it is possible to find success down here as a retailer, and we'd love to see more businesses similar to ours or retail of any kind open up in this area.
Bob Belichico, CTV News.
Looks like Caesars Windsor is holding a winning hand in a new national casino ranking. According to Bet.com, Caesars Windsor is being ranked among the top land-based casinos in Canada. The list is based on thousands of user reviews across Google, TripAdvisor, and Yelp, weighted for both score and volume. Reviewers consistently praise Caesars Windsor for its entertainment offerings, professional service, and overall player experience, keeping it a favorite for locals and visitors alike. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald has your full weather details coming up in 2 minutes' time.
There's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason.
Tensions as Canada's premiers convene in the nation's capital, as one of them entertains the idea of removing theirs from the country altogether. Stay with us. CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald is here with our first look at the weather tonight. Gary, it has been cold. What are we looking for?
More of the same, unfortunately. Bitterly cold situation tonight. I think the wind chill values will be very close to minus 30. Some computer models suggesting upwards of or as low as minus 35. What it will feel like between about 4 a.m. and say 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Under partly cloudy conditions, we're not likely to see any snow, but this map painted in blue gives you an idea that much of extreme southwestern Ontario is extremely cold. And it's been cold through the day. Even the middle of the afternoon was very cold. Reached a high of 9.9 below zero. Right? But it felt like about minus 24, so it's been tough. And the winds today really have not been that strong. Out of the north-northwest, that's reinforcing this polar air mass. We've still seen some lake effect snow, Lake Huron shores, definitely, even Lake Michigan as well, and Lake Superior, but for us, generally speaking, not much to see. By the way, further to the west, we are in this ridge of high pressure, which will reinforce this cold air mass right across the Great Lakes for the next 3 days straight. The good news part of that is we're not likely to see any real snowfall because of that ridge of high pressure. Bad news is, on its leading edge, the winds are being reinforced and coming right out of the northwest, hence the cold air stays in place and then some. If we do see any snow, it's further to the north and east of us, maybe a centimeter or two, as the lakes start to freeze over. That means the lake effect engine starts to shut down. What you need is a relatively warmer open body of water and some cooler air aloft to create that situation. Minus 22 before dawn tomorrow, feeling like minus 30 to minus 35. We're still cold throughout the day. Minus 25 at 8 a.m. We'll see some sunshine through the midday and afternoon. Minus 12 is the projected daytime highs. Comes in around 4 p.m. It'll feel like the low minus 20s. Sunny and even more so for the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Minus 7, minus 5. That's balmy by comparison to the last 2 weeks. Flurries on Monday, minus 6, then minus 4, minus 3, minus 4. Some sunshine and temperatures, can you believe it, approaching minus what? maybe even the freezing mark, which would be seasonal for this time of the year. That's a look at your weather.
Thank you, Gary. As Canada's premiers convene in Ottawa, the leader of BC is speaking out on Alberta's separatist movement, calling a meeting between the group and White House officials treason. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Our country is more united, ambitious, and determined than it has been in decades.
All premiers and the Prime Minister around the table in Ottawa, but that message of unity is infringed on by a Financial Times report. The Alberta separatism movement has been meeting the Trump administration and is seeking $500 billion in credit in the event of a successful referendum.
To go to a foreign country and to ask for assistance in breaking up Canada, there's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason.
It's ludicrous, right? I mean, we're there on a fact-finding basis. There's nothing treasonous about it.
The group says it did meet with U.S. officials, but is only doing a feasibility study
to determine whether that facility would be available on a going forward basis, and whether it's with U.S. Treasury or Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan through a bond issue.
The U.S. State Department said it regularly meets with civil society types and no commitments were made. A similar response from the White House, which tells CTV News no support or commitments were conveyed. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury has weighed in on separatism before.
Alberta is a natural partner for the U.S.
I would expect that the U.S. administration would respect Canadian sovereignty and that they would confine their discussion about Alberta's democratic process to Albertans and to Canadians. And I will raise that with my delegate in Washington.
At the closing press conference, the Prime Minister would not answer whether he felt there was foreign interference from the United States.
I expect the U.S. administration to respect Canadian sovereignty. I'm always clear in my conversation with President Trump to that effect, and then move on to what we can do together.
While Canada faces separation speculation further east too, with the rise in popularity of Quebec's Parti Québécois.
He's going to call a referendum. If he, God forbid, he gets elected, I mark my words, within a year and a half, he'll be calling a referendum to separate from Canada. Unacceptable.
As for the substance of the meetings, a big focus was the upcoming review of the North American Free Trade Deal. The Prime Minister said he and the premiers agreed to meet monthly once that review is underway. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canada's main stock index was down today. The TSX lost 160 points. In New York, the Dow gained 56, while the Nasdaq fell 172. The Canadian dollar is up almost a third of a cent today. Gold gaining more than $14 an ounce, and oil added $2.21 a barrel. What are you doing this weekend? If you haven't made plans yet, our weekly segment has you covered. CTV's Melanie Kentner and 89X host Johnny Parks looking into What's Up YQG, and this week they are having a laugh.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Roast of Windsor Rose City Comedy Festival. Now, Johnny, this seems right up your alley.
I'm very excited. I was thinking of getting some heckling ready, but I'm way too easy of a target, so I'm not going to do that. But we're here with Curtis Coleman, the host, roast master with the most. What's up? Tell us about the event.
Yeah, I can't wait this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have some of the best comics in the area coming on. We have some very special guests who I will not spoil for everybody who's coming out to the show. And, of course, we have the Rose City Roast Battle. So it's going to be 8 comics going head-to-head in a good old-fashioned roast battle.
Now, what exactly will they be roasting?
Themselves, mainly, and, of course, the city and all the surrounding areas. Nobody's safe, not even Forest Glade, but I think they're used to that, so it's okay.
And there's a prize involved, I hear.
There is. I can't spoil it just yet, but it is going to be a very grand prize, as well as the title of Windsor's meanest person. So.
Ooh, I love the mystery. Now, is this the first event of its kind?
Nothing like this on this scale. We have done some roast battles before, but to be honest, every time comedians hang out, it's a bit of a mini roast battle. So this is just us hanging out on a grand scale with some special guests.
And how can people get tickets?
Everything is online. It's all at rosecitycomedyfestival.com for more information or tickets.
Sounds good. Now, we'll put all the links on our website as well. Now, Johnny, there are a few other things going on this weekend, including at the casino.
Yeah, Hairball Arena Rock. So if you like Van Halen, Motley Crue, Kiss, that kind of thing, that is on Friday.
Yes, and the WSO has a rock theme going on too.
Yeah, so if you're more into like Zeppelin, The Who, they got that going on, also Friday.
Exactly, and there's something for a few more refined people.
Oh my, yes, the Winemaker's Night at Chicharo Club on Saturday.
Sounds great. Well, we put all those links online. Thanks, guys, and that's What's Up, YKG.
Discussion here at Windsor City Hall.
Windsor's top stories.
A major project is about to get underway.
Breaking news alerts.
Severe weather is a possibility.
And watch live.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Download the CTV News app.
CTV meteorologist Gary Archibald is back with a look at the 7-day forecasting. Gary, there are only 49 days and 11 hours until spring, but who's counting?
You've been tracking it. You have one of those trackers on your computer, I can tell, I'm guessing. Some people are counting it down, but here's the countdown that matters. I think we're about 5 to 6 days, at least in terms of the cold, from more seasonal values, which means -1 will feel like we're in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, 26 degrees Celsius. Can you imagine that? It'll have that kind of effect. It'll be like, wow, this is incredibly warm. Relatively speaking, of course. Tomorrow morning is bitterly cold in all seriousness. Protect yourself from -30 potentially. -30 wind chill. Sunny for the weekend, a bit warmer, at least during the afternoon. And then we'll see some flurries Monday and get a little warmer still. Tuesday towards Wednesday, -3. That looks like a day where we could all be in shorts and t-shirt. Not kidding, of course. Do take care and find a way to enjoy your weather. Good night.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, not exactly shorts and t-shirt weather. You might rather have the clothing item from our last story tonight. This from fans calling for a clothing item from the show Heated Rivalry. Calls to release the fleece have been answered.
All in there. What's up, mother? All right, so tonight we can do the men's short form figure skating.
My brother wore this jacket in the show while he was playing for Team Canada in the Olympics. Since then, people have been wondering where they can get it, even making their own versions. The show's production company is now teaming up with Toronto-based Province of Canada, which will produce and sell the jacket. That's our time for tonight. I hope you'll join us for tomorrow night as well. I'm Travis Fortnum. Take care.